some weakness in the in the pound. GBP is sort of leading the downside. Uh, Pretty much everything else is literally unchanged. Crude oil is down a bit. I know that. It's testing that support level we talked about a few days ago and yesterday, of course. And then stock markets are pretty much unchanged. So there's not a lot of activity. It's just sort of GBPUSD, which had an interesting spike yesterday, which we're going to look at. Now, if you're new to this market update, my name is Alejandro Zambrano, and I'm the global chief market strategist of ATFX. And what we're going to do over the next 10 to 15 minutes is provide you guys with an overview of the markets. And if you want to take part, say hello. Just say hello via the chat box to your right. And if you have questions as well, then you can just ask them in the little chat. There we go. So if you have questions about the market, what we'll do is I'm going to address them as soon as we finish the main presentation. As well, I shared this with you guys yesterday, and I'm going to share it with you guys today again. But we do have, we just added or created a WhatsApp group. So what happens here, if you click on that link, you send me a message to WhatsApp, I will add you to my list, and on that list I will send this video every morning. So this morning we do Monday to Friday at 9:30 a.m. and sort of when I do the videos, I'll send you the links. You can actually watch the recording on your phone so you don't miss out. As well, if anything else is coming up, I'll send a message to you about that. It's usually, I would say, one message, maybe two messages a day. And of course, if you don't want to be included, if you don't want me to send messages, just send me a message back where you say stop or remove me from the list, and I'll do that. The important thing, though, if you do sign up, is that after sending me that number, that you send me a message via that link. Make sure that you save my number on your phone, otherwise it doesn't work. Okay, so let's talk about the pound versus the USD. Okay, so the market here just slid below the low from yesterday, and I think people are just genuinely worried about what's going to happen with Brexit, right? It doesn't look like we're going to get anything constructive, and as I understand it, MPs are going to get the ability to vote on the same deal or very similar deal to they have sort of been presented, or the same old deal just rehashed according to Labour. And Labour said they're not going to vote for it. Now, the idea is if they vote for it and it gets approved, the people is going to have the ability to have a second referendum and vote on that deal if they want to implement or not. So what they're trying to do is sort of shift things to the people, and then they can vote. But it doesn't look like it's going to gain any support. So it looks like we're just going to go back to where we started. And it also looks like, hard pro-Brexiteers like maybe Boris Johnson could become the next PM. Not that I think people are going to be more happy to work with him than with Theresa May. So what happens here is that eventually, it's going to go back being sort of uncertainty. And obviously, if Boris Johnson manages to get people on his side, then obviously he's pushing for a hard Brexit, which from an economical point of view should be difficult. I mean, we've already seen how food inflation is much higher in the UK, and how investments are not happening because of Brexit. So it could create, at least in a period of a few years, a bit of a slower economic growth. And then if the UK, of course, after, say, a few years, and they manage to strike new deals with, for example, the EU and the US and other countries, then suddenly they can sort of start to grow again. So it's an economic decline, most likely, or stagnation, to then, if they manage the future correctly, it could become better. So that is why the pound is declining today, because it's taking that into account. So when the pound declines, exports from the UK suddenly become cheaper. Buying property in the UK for foreigners become cheaper. On the only problem, though, if you're based in the UK and you get paid in pounds, then food inflation goes up, as it did just after the Brexit vote, and it could be also inflation on other goods that we import. So this is why we're going lower. Now, from a technical point of view here, yesterday I said if we swing back up to pretty much the low, I said 28.65, I said people probably going to try to short sell. Now, we did go up, but we didn't go all the way up, so we didn't reach enough to sort of short sell. Now, if you look at this today, the price went all the way up, and this is a 4-hour chart. And on that 4-hour period, traders were not able to keep prices at this high. So as soon as we moved up, people sort of immediately got out. And I think it has to do with the fact that a lot of people are long here. And when we go up, they sell because they want to get out of those bad positions. And then as well, you have people that want to get involved and get short. Because we're dealing with some sort of a head and shoulders here with a big head, left and right shoulder. And this is the neckline. So around the neckline, there's always going to be people wanting to sell. It's only if we start to trade above something like the May 15th high that longer term traders is going to stop shorting here. So going forward, I know the market traded below the low, and sort of that's what it's been doing. It always does that. It doesn't give bullish traders any chance to get out, with the exception of here. And I think going forward, yes, let's be bearish. I have now reduced, though, the trend funding level is pretty much up here somewhere. Reduced it now to 28.56, so that is new level. And I think if we revisit something like 27.80, which were the levels we saw yesterday, I think from that level, I think it makes sense to look to get short again. And the reason why I like that is because the risk-reward ratios are just better up there. Sorry for flicking through the charts. Yeah, the risk-reward ratio is better there. You might remember I said, we can probably sell up here and here. That is okay, but when the market has moved so much as it has done here, I'm very reluctant to get involved. I like fresh positions, so fresh breakouts from fresh sort of patterns, and that's it really. As for pound, also EURUSD, there's not much activity here. It used to be sort of the best pair to trade, but as you know, since pretty much May last year, this has been a very, very choppy market. People don't really know exactly how to trade this one, and it's not going anywhere. As for this, trading that today, a retest of 1196, as long as you trade below 1245, I think from here all the way up, people gonna sell. The original sell idea I shared with you guys was at 1225. I said people probably gonna short sell here with stops above. I think if we would have shorted that, what would be the risk reward ratio on this one? If you're still short, then you have a risk reward ratio 1.43 right now. If you got out at the very low, you would have got out at 1.86. So that's sort of what the market is giving you nowadays. It's not a lot. And again, I think going forward, there's two ways of doing this. If you're not in the market, I think people might short sell from here, and that will give you a risk reward ratio of maybe 1.66. So that could be something. The alternative here would be so shorting here if one is not already short, and if one is short already, book profit on the whole position. Alternatively, book 50% and then sort of wait and see if the other 50 can go below the low. If we trade below the low, it might cause the price to trade down to 109.18, which is this level down here. Dollar versus the Japanese yen, it's just trading within that range, and I think it can go a little bit upwards. The short-term trend is bullish about 109.78, and we might go down a bit, maybe to 110.20, 110, but above 109.78, I think we can go up again to the high. Risk to gold ratio here is not optimal, and from a bigger picture, you can see that the market is getting squeezed. Gold prices, I think we're just gonna trade sideways here. There's no reason to anticipate any major change. Trading sideways between 1266 and 1303. Crude oil prices are under pressure. So you might remember the market was trading lower like this. So it's trading lower and lower like that, and I turned bearish here. I said let it go down, It went down, it went up, and then it went down and reached that first profit target. And then I was bearish below this high and then below this high. And now, obviously, that bearish view did not work out. And now the market sort of, it spent some time here in this rectangle. And the difference between the rectangle low and rectangle high is $2.05. So from the breakout point, we should really go up here. But it's a bit of a fragile market in a market that has had a very strong year already. So I think it's probably going to trade more sideways. But again, the short-term trend is short-term bullish. We're testing that rectangle breakout, and the trend is bullish above 62.18. Initially, the stop was here. It's been reduced. And I'm going to stick with this until proven otherwise. If we trade below here, it's probably going to go a little bit lower, but I'm not really sure what's going to happen next. I think if you look at it from a bigger picture perspective, you know, we're not really close. We're relatively bang in the middle here from the range from last year. You know, we're not close to the low, we're not close to the highs. So there's no real incentive for people to do anything here. People are talking about, though, that I had a conversation with a guy yesterday. I don't really agree with that, but obviously we have the tensions between Iran and the US. And his theory is that the Americans are just going to find an excuse to to have some sort of conflict with Iran. And the reason for that is just that they pulled out from so many other parts of the world, and now they have so many servicemen that are not doing anything, and it's quite expensive not having them to do nothing. So his theory is just that something's going to happen just because of that. I totally disagree with that. But you never know. And I personally think, again, there's not going to be anything between US and Iran, and they're just flexing muscles. Because from Iran's perspective, there's no point going, you know, to head-to-head to Iran with the US. I don't think they stand to win on that. If nothing happens, obviously crude oil is going to go down a little bit. S&P 500, overall trend is bearish, I think. The market is still creating slower and lower highs. And we said, you know, below this high, the market's going to be bearish. We reached a sell zone. And I think it looks like we're still in the process of creating a right shoulder. And if we go down, I think we can, from this levels, I think we can go down to 2785.7. Alternatively, if we take out 2890, I think we can go upwards, okay? And I think that's German DAX, forgot that one. So the overall trend here in the DAX is bullish above 11,842. And I think as long as we trade above this level, we can go upwards. And this is a little bit what you need to do here. You don't have to do nothing really, actually. But the view here is that if you think that we're not going to have like a meltdown in the stock markets in the US, then this is what you want to be working with. You also have a similar idea, which I shared with you guys, on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is bullish above 25,231. That's the view you can work with. My personal view, though, is that the S&P 500 will break lower, and it has to do with trade wars and the fact that we're not having any improvement there. In fact, one of the chief negotiators is now, as I understand it, in talks with Europe and Japan. And obviously you can't be at two places at the same time. So it does suggest to me that they're now focusing on US and Japan instead of focusing on China, because it's not going anywhere with China. Now, the US decided to delay any blacklisting of the Chinese telecommunications company and mobile producer Huawei. But they're now talking about potentially blacklisting a Chinese drone company. So there's still that in play, and I think it can turn more nasty before it gets better, especially things that we're looking at right now. I don't know if I told you this yesterday, but you know, if the US goes ahead and blocks Huawei or blacklists Huawei, I mean, realistically, Apple sells far more phones in China then Huawei sells phones to the US. And components in Huawei, some of them are American anyway. So it doesn't look like there's going to be a win-win here anytime soon. So I think if the new tariffs allowed to play out as they are being played out now, more bad data is going to come, probably out of China, for example, and then potentially influence the rest of the world. And that would again put a cap on stock market gains and eventually probably take out this low. Okay, I think we don't have any questions. We just have Marvin here in the chat box. Good morning to you, sir. And thanks so much for all the likes and retweets. Marvin here is helping a lot, which is really good. And you can also help a lot. And you can help by just clicking on that like button there to spread the word about this presentation. And as well, you can always just share it. It's very, very straightforward. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Guys, thanks so much for joining, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, same time here at ATFX YouTube channel. Thank you.